4 hours a day through your entire 20s. That's roughly 14,000 hours by the time you turn 30. Here's what else takes 14,000 hours. Going from never having written a single line of code to becoming a senior software engineer and still having time left over. I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. Guilt doesn't change anything. I'm telling you because when I finally did the math, I couldn't unsee it. So let me show you what I mean. Your 20s are the most valuable decade you'll ever have. You have energy you won't have at 40, freedom you won't have once there's a mortgage and a kid and a job that depends on you showing up. Nothing is locked in yet. Everything you build now compounds for the next 60 years. This is important because I wasted too much of my 20s. Let me tell you the story. I would play 10 hours per day for years. That's 70 hours a week. My routine back then was simple. Wake up, walk to a university lecture, walk back, game until I fell asleep. That was it. That was my whole day when I was 21. I lived alone in a studio apartment and I genuinely didn't see many people. Some weeks the only conversations I had were in lectures. I'd finish a session of The Last of Us late at night, back aching, eyes stinging, and feel this dull guilt that I couldn't quite shake. Then I'd wake up the next morning and do it all again. I blasted through those games in just a few days. About 45 hours of gameplay. At the time it felt like an achievement. Looking back, I spent the equivalent of a full working week inside someone else's story and walked away with nothing. And the worst part is, it didn't even feel good. Like, not really. The first hour of a session felt great. The next 9 felt like something I couldn't stop rather than something I wanted to do. It's a useful perspective because let's say I spent those hours learning a skill instead. That's something that would have been useful to me for the rest of my life. People talk about gaming like the only cost is time, but time is only a small part. There are 3 more things that gaming takes from us. The first is energy. A 4-hour session of Counter-Strike leaves you tired in the part of your brain that wanted to learn something today. After a long session, the idea of opening a textbook or going for a run feels physically impossible. The part of your brain that does hard things is already empty. You spent it all on dust too, if that's still a thing. The second thing that gaming takes is momentum. Because habits compete with each other. Every time you sit down to game, you're voting against the version of you who goes to the gym, learns guitar, or writes code. The brain notices what you do most and quietly builds itself around it. A gaming habit doesn't sit politely beside your other ambitions, it eats them. But the third one is the worst: identity. The longer gaming is your main thing, the harder it gets to picture yourself as anything else. You become the guy who games. Your friends become the people you game with. Your evenings have a shape, and that shape is a chair and a screen. That's the trap. By the time you notice the cost, you become the kind of person who can't easily pay it off. The version of you who would have changed careers, started a side project, or even asked her out, he got slowly traded away, one session at a time. Here's what nobody tells you about quitting video games. Cold turkey doesn't work. Quitting leaves a vacuum, and the vacuum gets filled by whatever's nearest, which is usually the thing you were trying to quit. So you can't just stop, you have to swap. That's the part most advice skips. They tell you to delete Steam, throw out the console, and lock the controller in a drawer. But let's be real, we've both tried it, and we only last a few days. By day 5 you're reinstalling everything again, telling yourself just one more game. The thing that actually works is finding something that competes, something slightly more rewarding than gaming, that fits in the same chair, at the same desk, for the same hours. Coding is the single best task to replace gaming with, and here's why. It happens in the same chair, the same desk, the same screen you were already going to sit in front of anyway. There's no friction of getting dressed, going somewhere, and joining a club. The bar to start is 0. The problem-solving loop is almost identical to a game. You have a goal, you try something, it breaks, you try again, you figure it out. You get a little hit when something finally works. If you've ever spent 3 hours figuring out a boss in Elden Ring, you already have the muscle. The skill transfers directly. But here is the difference. When you finish a game, you have a save file and an overstimulated brain. When you finish a coding session, you have something real, something that exists in the world. A script, an app, a website, or even your own game. And the beautiful thing is that it stacks. Every session adds to skill. Skill turns into a portfolio turns into a job, or a freelance client, or a project that earns money while you sleep. The same hours that were going into 100% completion runs start producing actual income and an actual identity. If you watched this far, then you're clearly motivated to make real changes. To help you out, I've created a free 7-day challenge about the gaming to coding transition. 1 email a day. Each one swaps a gaming session for a small coding task, and by the end of the week you'll have built your first game in Python. Links in the description if you want to try it. Now let me offer you some hope. What awaits on the other side of video game addiction is incredible. I've gone from being a sad video gamer to something way better. I now work as a software engineer, I get to run this YouTube channel, and I'm in a wonderful relationship. And I still play some games from time to time, about an hour of Zelda once a week. I genuinely enjoy it now, because it's a small thing inside a larger life, instead of being the whole life. If you're gaming in moderation, then that's really good, but if you're addicted like I was, the only way to break out of it is quitting video games entirely for some time. Your 20s are the only ones you get, so start the swap this week, use my email challenge as help, and subscribe for more about how to stop gaming and start coding.